Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
Chat Jilly, you've got questions, I've got keto diet pros and cons. Still with my friend Sam, who wants to get shredded. We're going to come back, and last time I left you guys off with talking about the pros. Now we're going to address the cons. And I don't want to pretend like there is no utopia, there is no perfect diet, there is no ideal diet. Every diet has benefits and every diet has drawbacks. And you definitely have to consider those and figure out whether or not they fit into your goals. So very quickly, let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about the cons. So the first thing to consider is glycogen depletion. Because you're not eating carbohydrates, you're not getting that glucose, it's going to deplete the amount of glycogen you have stored. This is okay because once your body becomes keto adapted, you're going to run off of ketones. But for those of you who are concerned about having that extra glycogen storage and things like that, you might consider maybe a cyclic low-carb diet where you eat low-carb for 3 or 4 days and then carb up. That would be a way to implement some keto elements, but at the same time still keep your glycogen stores topped off. The other thing you have to remember too, and this is one of the issues, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to lose muscle. But as we talked about last time, it's actually muscle sparing. You're not going to lose muscle, but it's going to look like you did. And the reason being because your body stores 3 grams of water for every 1 gram of glycogen. And so that glycogen is stored inside your muscles. When you deplete that glycogen, your body holds, a lot of numbers are very ranging, but let's just grab 400 grams. That's what most people kind of seem to have a consensus on. Your body holds about 400 grams of glycogen. If you drop 400 grams of glycogen, you just dropped 1,200 grams of water. So you're actually just netted a 1.6 kilo loss. So yes, you will look smaller because you're gonna drop glycogen and then you're gonna drop water. And so your muscles will shrink in actual size, but that doesn't mean that you have less muscle. You have the same amount of muscle, it's just not as swollen. Moving on from that one, you have decreased power. And you'll hear lots of guys that do powerlifting talk about getting the bloat. And whenever you have that bloat and you have all that glycogen stored up and all that water, you really are stronger. I can't tell you that, oh, follow a keto diet, you're going to be just as strong. You could be. You could be, because if your body starts to adapt and you get better at producing power, your body, the human body is amazing, your body could eventually get better at producing ATP and from fat, and so you don't necessarily need that glycogen stored. You don't necessarily need it, but at least initially and probably for a good while, and I would say even at the most elite levels, I would still say you're going to want to have some carbohydrates in your diet if you are an elite level power lifter. If you're the average guy just dicking around in the gym, it probably doesn't really matter, because unless you're competing on the platform, your numbers are just relative to you. You'll get stronger on a keto diet still. It's not like it's going to stop you. You're going to keep getting stronger. But relative to how strong you could be, yes, you would be a little bit stronger if you were eating carbohydrates in your diet. The next thing to touch on is glucose withdrawal. Now this is a short-term problem, but it's a real mother. The thing is that whenever you come off of carbohydrates and you go into a keto diet, your body goes through withdrawal, basically. I mean, food, I say this all the time. You can go ahead and I hope someone quotes me with this. Food is a drug, dose it accordingly. The thing is that glucose is very addictive. I mean, rats addicted to cocaine will still chew sugar. That's a research study there. You can go ahead and look that one up. But the point being, whenever you pull the carbohydrates out of your diet, you're going to feel like shit for a few days. You're going to be like, what happened to me? And then it's really weird. One day you're just going to wake up and your body will have converted over to ketones, and you're going to feel fine. But I just want you to realize that short-term glucose withdrawal, some people, it takes up to 30 days for them to get to that state. Their body is just, especially females. Females' bodies are very, very good at holding on to glycogen. I see a lot of people that are like, they get 10 days into the diet and they're like, it's not working for me, I quit. And it's like, shit, if you just would have stuck with it for a few more days, your body would have hit that threshold and you would have been keto adapted. You could have felt what it feels like to be keto adapted. And I highly recommend everyone tries it. I don't recommend the diet for everyone. I don't want to say, oh, everyone should be doing a keto diet, but I do think that it's worth trying. I think it's worth something experiencing. That way you know whether or not it's for you, and you can actually speak to other people and say, oh yeah, I actually did that diet, and it was good, or I actually did that diet and it sucked. I mean, I've done all kinds of diets. I did a vegan diet. I've done diets. I did the V diet. I did Ray Peat's diet. I've done every diet that people have offered up to me. People say, oh, have you ever done this diet? Well, I don't want to speak about a diet that I've never done. So I always make a point to actually even try 30 bananas a day. Yeah, that's how serious I take this shit. So that diet was awful. Oh, by the way, that diet was, oh my God. I don't even eat bananas anymore. I hate them. Eating 30 bananas in a day is enough to make you hate them forever. Moving forward, loss of burst power. Now, I said earlier that one of the pros is better endurance, and that's true. Whenever we took cyclists in a research study, and they're both riding the fat-adapted keto diet, cyclists had more endurance. But then when it came to that final sprint, the guys with the glucose won. They are going to be able to produce more power. So if you're, training for an event like shorter events, like a 5K would probably be a good one for an example. The endurance aspect of a 5K is not really that far out. I mean, there's a lot of people that are running near their max speed for the entire time. And so when you look at something like that, that burst speed, that ability to turn it on in that last 800 meters, boom, just burn it all out, that is going to be much higher on a diet that still has glucose in it. So that definitely is a drawback to the keto diet. You're not going to have that burst power anymore. And the last thing I have for you is less anabolism. Now, yes, it is muscle sparing. It is not a catabolic diet. I know lots of people think, oh, keto diet, it's going to be catabolic. Not really. It's especially not muscle catabolic. It's fat catabolic, especially if you have a calorie deficit. But the thing is, as far as being like catabolic to your muscles, or I'm going to lose all my muscle mass, not really. But what I will say is that it's less anabolic. And just because it's less anabolic doesn't mean that you're going to lose muscle. It just means you're not going to gain as much muscle as you would with glucose. So, getting that good spike of carbohydrates and protein post-workout is definitely very anabolic. Insulin is one of the most anabolic hormones in our entire body. So without that, you are definitely going to have less anabolism. But that's not, I don't want people to take that small little piece of information there and just think, oh, well, then if it's less anabolic, it must be more catabolic. It's not more catabolic. In fact, it might even be less catabolic, but what it definitely is, it's for sure, it's definitely less anabolic. Guys eating lots of carbs are going to get much bigger insulin spikes, higher levels of IGF-1, and those increased levels of IGF-1 are going to assist in more muscle building. So I hope that was simple. I hope it was concise enough that you guys can understand now the pros and cons, and you can make an educated decision on whether or not you even think this diet is viable for you. It is just a tool. Like I said, I'm not recommending this diet. This is just the information on it. These are just facts pulled from research studies, and it's up to you to formulate an opinion. I'm just providing you guys with the information. So that's all I got for you guys today.
What's the matter with you people? I was joking! Don't you know a joke when you hear one?